Good afternoon. Eric Allinger, Pioneer Field Agronomist. I wanted to take a moment here to discuss Fallow Syndrome with you. So June 5th, Prevent Plant Day. We think we'll have some interest in this topic. Ask any farmer in the river bottoms after a flood, what's the first thing you do when the water goes down? And they will all tell you quickly that you get something growing or get something planted. Fallow Syndrome occurs a year after no crop is grown in a field. So not having a host crop growing in a field, you have a reduction in the mycorrhiza or the fungi that are influential in the uptake of phosphorus and zinc. So in this situation, if you go ahead and take preventive planting, what should you do? The recommendations or best choices for something to plant or grow would be cereals and legumes. And by cereals, rye, wheat, we suspect a lot of guys will go and get the most inexpensive wheat they can find and get it growing. And that's a good choice. It does help the fungi colonize. It also helps compete with weeds. And on the topic of weeds, you say, why not weeds? It will have something growing out there. In the case of weeds, a couple things. You could have the increase of population of weeds that are really hard to kill or perhaps herbicide resistant. That's one thing. The other thing, a lot of the weeds that are growing right now are brassicas, including yellow rocket. And as you should note, yellow rocket and the other brassicas are not hosts for the mycorrhiza fungi that we are trying to keep the population steady on. So that would include kale, canola, mustards, turnips, radishes, things like that. So we want you to try to avoid those if possible. So next year, what do I do? Next year, going into a crop, first thing would make sure you have adequate levels of phosphorus. That's number one. Number two, if you're in doubt of what to plant, a good choice after a fallow acres is always soybeans. So just a couple of tips handling preventive planting and fallow acres. So again, we want to thank you for watching and remind you that anytime we can be of service from the Pioneer Agronomy team, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.
That concludes this Pioneer Growing Point Agronomy video podcast. Visit our page on pioneer.com and follow us on Twitter and Facebook for more agronomy insights.